place. We're breaking the rules.
Oh no.
Yeah, we're breaking my social media manager's rules, and we're actually live in multiple places right now. Doesn't it feel good to break the rules, Debbie?
I'm all about that 100%. Let's talk about that.
Right now, we're not just in the TYA practice. This is TYA Talk, exclusive to the TYA Practice Facebook group. But we're not just in TYA right now. I sent this to Spirituality Gone Wild. I sent this to YouTube. I sent this to the Stream of David page, and we're in the TYA Practice Facebook group right now. So we're breaking the rules. Doesn't it feel good to be bad?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think that the whole "I'm so good" is a syndrome that people get stuck into in codependency. That's what I think. And I think that sometimes the reason that it feels good to be quote unquote bad is because you're breaking that behavior pattern of thinking you need to be good, And quite frankly, it's came like up in my face lately about this thought that what does it mean that you are good? Good boy, good girl.
You're obedient to what somebody else wants you to do.
And
which I've rallied against my entire life, even if that rallying was in silence while I played by the rules because I needed to at the time. But yeah, breaking the rules does feel good. You're right.
Well, because we're breaking. Well,
because whose rules? Source doesn't have any rules.
No, okay.
It has no judgment, so Source has no rules. So all rules are human created. Right?
Bow.
Exactly. So for those of you just joining us, hey Luke. I'm here with the infamous Debbie G from Spirituality Gone Wild and from the world of TYA. I was on LOA today earlier. I've had a fantastic day today. Actually, I met this filmmaker that Matt met, and he was coming out to Palm Springs, so we went and had coffee. So I had a lovely little chat, and then I came home, and right when I was getting ready to meditate, one of my favorite earthly occurrences that I have not experienced in over a year happened today.
What?
It rained and it thundered in Palm Springs.
Well, that's super exciting.
I love a thunderstorm, and I never get to experience them because I live in the freaking desert. It never rains here. And today we were sitting at coffee having this lovely conversation, and it literally rained on us for a couple of minutes. And I looked at them and I said, I haven't felt rain in years.
So, well, they kind of talk about
rain if you want, and they were cool with it. What's that?
It never rains in Southern California. So actually,
it sure doesn't rain in the desert, but here we are.
Yeah. Versus me.
Hi, Facebook user. You're not registered on here, so we don't see your name, but I do see you and acknowledge you. So it rained. I had this lovely coffee with this photographer. He's a documentary filmmaker and photographer. And then I came and I was home, and I was on the LOA Today podcast with Walt. We had a lovely discussion about TYA, all things TYA, because Walt is joining TYA Bootcamp this week. In fact, tomorrow is his first day. Thank you, Luke. And then I channeled, and I haven't watched it back yet, but he was very, very into what the stream shared. So go watch LOA Today, today's episode. It should be up on YouTube. And I'm not sure if his podcast goes out immediately or not, but LOA Today is a podcast. Debbie is a regular contributor now on LOA Today. What days are you on there?
I'm on Fridays.
Cool.
I'm on Fridays, and it's actually been a totally fun experience. It can be challenging when I'm traveling, which seems to be all the time. So, but it's a blast. It's a total blast. So a couple of weeks ago, Walt was saying, he was considering joining TYA Bootcamp, and I'm like, well, if you do it, then I'll redo, because it's about time for a redo, y'all. That's one thing about TYA. A recharge, yeah. I probably, just kind of go through the whole, what kind of transgressors do I need to undo at this point? Rewrite everything. It's time for a new one. And this is the cool thing about TYA is because you can do that. Here I am a couple years later, and I just log in. And whenever I need something really spectacular, I just go to a TYA module or call David. That's all.
Or come to a summit. We are having a summit on July 10th, a 4-hour summit For those of you that did our last summit, everybody, we have a little trailer we're going to start playing and show everybody. You get little snippets of what the stream shared in the summit, and then you get the reaction to everybody at the end. Rome, my video editor, put those in, and it was so cool at the very end when everybody was like, "Oh my God," cheering and talking about how this summit was 4 hours, but it seemed like half an hour. It went by just like that. So Stream Summit on July 10th from 9 a.m. Pacific to 1 p.m. Pacific. You can purchase a ticket, and it's not broadcast anywhere. It's a private event that you come to, and you're on with the stream for 4 hours. So that's coming up. We will be posting in the TYA Practice group and on the Stream of David page a link very soon to get your tickets to that. So I'm on with Debbie, and we have a couple of topics. The overall topic is radical appreciation, because Debbie is Debbie Gratitude. And we go so deep into gratitude that it's really radical appreciation in the TYA practice. And we're going to talk about all that. But we're going to start out talking about respect.
Yeah. RESPCT. Find out what
I'm even respecting the fact that you kind of flipped out on me because I was drinking out of aluminum last time we were on together. So I made sure that I grabbed the water out of the fridge in a bottle.
Well, I'm glad you got the water in the bottle because aluminum. Ew. So, respect. I think there's a really cool song by Pantera. Respect. Walk. I mean, it's really cool. Love that.
As a gay man, I was thinking more Aretha Franklin, but okay.
Well, I like the Aretha Franklin one too, and that's really good. But I just in the idea of reviewing your value for integrity, or your values. And what's been alerting me lately is this whole respect word. And okay, David, just help me out. Why is it bugging me so much? And is respect truly necessary?
Well, if you had acknowledged my TikTok that I did earlier this week on respect, it was all about that. It was, why do you need anybody's respect? Why do you need validation from external sources? Why do you need respect from the world? If you love yourself, respect is not even a question anymore, because self-love is a little different than respect. Respect is almost like you're expecting reverence from someone or obedience from someone. So that's all rooted in lack and fear and all that, lower vibrational stuff anyway. So the question is, why do you need respect? People really think they need to be respected, and how dare you disrespect me, and all of that, all of this polarized language. The big question here is why you think you need respect, and what does that mean to you? And feel free to type in the comments, all of you that are watching right now or in the future, what that really means to you, and where do you think that's rooted?
Okay, so I'm sharing this out for all of you. If you're watching, please do the same. Okay.
Yeah, if you're on one of the pages, you can absolutely share it out. And YouTube, I don't know if you can share it or not, but we're on YouTube. Lisa Dan High is watching us via YouTube. We haven't been on YouTube Live in a while. So it's good to be back on YouTube for a little taste of this. This broadcast, we do this TYA Talk every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Pacific, exclusively until today, in the TYA Practice Facebook group. It's a private group. You can join. You can get in. We are in the process of really transitioning the group to a very powerful learning tool for the TYA Practice. We have guides, and we have coaches, and we have mentors, and we have TYA masters all in this group now. Answering questions, interacting, posting, going live, doing their thing in there, because the TYA community is growing and growing and growing. We're teaching this practice to people all over the world in multiple ways, and this group is a great place to get in and start learning it. So be sure and join the TYA Practice group. Debbie is a TYA Bootcamp mentor, TYA Bootcamp graduate, and definitely a friend of the practice, if you will. It seems like this week is TYA week over at LOA Today, because there's been a TYA Bootcamp graduate or mentor or master on every single day this week, and that was not planned. It just happened that way. I didn't even know. I guess Kat was on yesterday. I was today. Brent, who's the guide in the TYA Practice group, he's there to guide you to all of the different training materials and things that are available in here. He was on Monday, and then Dan Mangina, who is now in TYA Mastery, is on tomorrow, and then I guess you'll be on Friday. So we'll have 5 days of TYA
Yeah.
going over in the group. And then today, you got my whole breakdown of what the TYA practice is, and you got the stream's perspective of it, which I know is not exactly the same as mine, because I'm a good old flawed human being and they are eternal consciousness. So it's never going to be the same.
Are you perfectly imperfect?
I am perfectly imperfect, and I'm loving my imperfection. More and more every day, I'm loving my imperfection. And every once in a while, it's funny, I get called out for not being enough of a guru. I
Well,
recently got called out for not being enough of a guru. I was like compared to another channel. This other channel is always walking the walk, and David's always talking about, not being perfect. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of what you're going to get from me. So,
well, you know what? Okay, can I just say, because anything else is BS, guys. You know what? If somebody tells you that they know everything or whatever, and I could be guilty of this myself, getting into a conversation and it's just like,
well, we all form an opinion, and we create our own bubble of reality that is our truth. But that kind of goes back into this need for respect, i.e., needing everyone to agree with me. I sure as hell don't need everybody to agree with me, and I need to give up on that, because I know everyone's not going to agree with me, because I have some pretty radical ideas. I am the I don't know anyone that teaches radical appreciation more than I do. So I'm all about radical appreciation of everything. And most of the world is not in radical appreciation of everything. In fact, a whole lot of the world is really spending a lot of time being offended these days.
okay, so can we just talk about that right now? Okay.
Cancel culture. We should have a little law that comes up.
I can't. Okay, look, I can't. All right. I was tested radically when I am surrounded by people who, when you ask how's your day, and they give you a list of all the shit they had to go through, and I go, and I start getting into, I literally go into like gratitude convulsions. Because what I realized is how it's not, I just remember sitting there thinking to myself, how do I help them shift? But is that my damn job? Is that really my damn job? Or should I just let them sit in their shit and not worry about the fact that they're sitting in crap? You're going to figure it out. You won't be happy like me, then ask me a question. But other than that, okay, fine. Maybe we should just leave them all bobbing in there. They're bobbing around and they're complaining, they're whining, they're blah, 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 and with a big gigantic TYA over here. This would be where you want to go. You can steer your boat anytime. But what I've discovered is, I'm going to tell you guys, like, I'm being goofy right now, but this is seriously serious. Okay, look. I have found myself in the last couple of weeks pushing my belief systems, or the thought that y'all know you need to be doing your work. Why aren't and in fact, here's the deal. If I'm observing something that's not in alignment with me, why do I feel the need to speak it? And so I'm calling myself out right now. I was highly encouraging people to take, quite frankly, I'm like, well, right? Because why am I doing that? I'm judging the person, number one. Number two,
you're also possibly judging them from where they are vibrationally, and we all go down our spiral, and we're a different being when we're down our spiral than when we're up.
Well, the thing is, what if they live down there and
and some people do,
and they're just like so great, you just want to pull them out, just like, but we're not. That's not practicing the art of non-interference, guys. So what I'm telling you is that there wasn't anything wrong with anybody that I was around or even talking to. The thing that was wrong was my thinking that I need to interfere with anybody's stuff. This whole thing about respect that he was talking about is also true. Losing this need for external validation, and losing this need to be right, and losing this need to tell people, you're just doing it all wrong. Let me tell you what right now. If they thought they were doing it all wrong, don't you think they figured that out on their own? I sure did. Or do we not think people are smart enough to figure it out? Maybe I don't think they are. Maybe I think they're ditwits and they'll never figure it out. I don't know. But why do I think that I needed to walk in and be their savior?
Yeah, well, it's allowing everyone to be on their path. And if they want, I put plenty of stuff out there. But all of my stuff is, you got to tune into it. You got to subscribe to the podcast. You got to find the Facebook page, stay there. not scroll away. When you land on the YouTube channel, if you don't like it, scroll away. It always amazes me when people come in and make these comments about, how much they hate the channel or something. I'm like, well, why did you spend time on it? If I land on something that I really don't like and doesn't resonate, I just move on to something else, because I have noted that there is endless information out there these days. When we were kids, and you lived in Southern California, maybe you were a little more advanced. I lived in rural Louisiana. We had 3 channels. So every night there was a choice of 3 things to watch. There was no internet. There was no social media. You had board games, or TV, and that was it.
Right.
So everybody was kind of watching and subscribed to the same thing. Well, we live in an era where there's just endless content. I remember having cable and satellite back in those days, thinking, God, there's like 400 channels on my TV. And then I realized there's not one thing on any of those 400 channels that I really care to watch. Nothing is interesting or entertaining to me. Then there's social media. Social media is more customized.
Right.
And then now there's TikTok, which in my opinion is the most customized algorithm I've encountered in a social media platform. It's crazy how well they tune into what you're paying attention to and immediately give you more of it. Immediately.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I do agree with that. I completely do.
Yeah.
But I think the important part about accepting other people, if I want to be accepted for who I am, that it starts with me accepting other people. And what I'm saying is that it's time for a TYA reboot, because I sat there and realized that I just got all up in my ego about this. And I got all up in my ego about thinking I needed to give people direction. Unwarranted advice is not advice. It's pushy, nosy busybodies like I was being. And it is nothing more and nothing less. It is me not focusing on myself, what I need to be doing, whatever, and thinking I need to be, something other than I am. With people, and so it was just a huge eye-opener for me this last couple of weeks. I've had a great time, but also noticing that I have some behavior patterns that I still see popping up that I don't think are empowering. And I think that is what it's about. Are you wanting to be self-empowered? And if we're wanting to be self-empowered, is it time to possibly let go of those things that you think were so important, like respect? Like whatever comes up for you. If somebody
it ties right into that being offended thing too,
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
When somebody doesn't agree with you or has a different opinion than you, being offended is a choice. And you can look for respect from people, not get it, and let that be your reason for being in lower vibration, which is only going to be harmful to you. If you live there, as you said, if you live there, we all go down from time to time. And when you're witnessing someone who's down their spiral and you're trying to drag them up, it's not very effective.
Oh, no, you know what it does? Is it's a big, giant waste of my energy.
Well, it pisses people off too, because they're if they're really down there, and you're trying to be Pollyanna, they're not hearing you. You're really agitating to them.
Right. Oh, well, I got a kick in the ass for you. Explain this one. Okay, so then I have a friend who was going through a thing, and then they expressed to me that they made a decision, but somebody else that was coaching them, guru style, got angry because they didn't do what they said they should do. And I'm over there going, no, that's not how that works.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's kind of like, you put something out there, you put a teaching out there, but if you need to be right and you need to be respected, that's all about your ego.
Uh-huh.
And then if you're not right or you're not respected in their eyes, then you're offended.
Oh, how about this?
Boom, boom, boom. It's a triangulation of, you're creating this little triangle of resentment and low vibrational response to something because your ego needed to be right and you needed to be the savior of them. I dipped into that. And since I've started doing this, I've absolutely dipped into that, wanting to save someone from themselves. When I first started TYA Boot Camp, I had a handful of people that I put in and did not charge.
Well, can I be honest with you?
Everybody talks about how expensive boot camp is. Well, I actually gave it away for free early on. And the people I gave it to, none of them did it. They didn't do the work. Even the ones that they all said they wanted it. I didn't force it upon anybody. I would never have done that. I mean, I'm not that naive to think I could do that. But there were people that said they want, I want to get in and do this thing. Oh, wait, it's work. And oh, wait, I've got to face my crap. And oh, wait, I've got to, find appreciation for that thing that I've been, harping on how horrible it was since childhood. I'm not ready to let go of all that.
Right. Because,
letting
go of the story that's no longer serving you is a kick in the ass.
Well, everybody we get really comfortable in our little loop.
Yeah.
I was abused as a child. My childhood was terrible. Life's not fair. I wasn't born into the right set of circumstances. My parents were awful people. We could almost write a little song about it.
Just do it. Yeah.
If you want to, because I've been there. I've sung that song before. You don't understand. My parents didn't love me. All that stuff. We all do it. But I got to a point in life where I realized, wow, this thing going around in circles, in my mind is creating more and more of that revealing itself in different ways.
I agree. There's another thing that comes up. I'm so disappointed. Go, David. I'm so disappointed.
I'm so disappointed in you, or just disappointed in general? That disappointed.
I'm so disappointed in you. I'm so disappointed in you, David. You did not live up to my standards. What the hell?
Well, that's a big guilt thing. And I am now integrated into an Italian-American family, and they're all about that stuff. I'll never forget when Michael's parents, he moved his parents here last July. It's almost been a year now. They live 2 blocks away, so I'm around them all the time. And I remember we were at dinner one night, and they were going back and forth about whose fault. And I'm like, who cares whose fault it was? And you could have heard like screeching tires. And they're all like, what do you mean? That's everything. Whose fault it is what we're all about.
How dare you?
And I have to say, his mother specifically is someone who operates in that, how do you feel today? And you're going to get a 30-minute answer of everything that's wrong in the world. I enjoy her anyway, and I don't want her to change. She even read my book, and she talked about how much she loved my book. She underlined, she went back and she read other parts, and then she went right back to complaining about everything all the time.
Yeah,
and she's like, when's your next book coming out? And I'm thinking, why? Why do you care?
Well, David, here's the thing that I remember, because it takes time. Like, it takes time for that to
Oh, I know. I'm making myself cry. I'm laughing so much. I think she's content how she is and who she is. I'm fine with her how she is and who she is. I find her very funny and entertaining, even when she's down there, down her spiral. And I'm really, 2 blocks away. I'm really good at deciding it's time to go home if I've had enough of it. Okay. So, that was his genius, putting them 2 blocks away. That was the genius. 2 blocks away, just enough of a buffer. They're not coming over here. They're not over here all the time. They're not over here for a long visit. They're 2 blocks away. And I've got the codes to both houses. So if they're over here and I want to go over there, I can do it.
Oh my God. Okay, David, I love this. But really, I mean, I have one for you. If this is how I viewed it, and I don't know how this is going to sound, so I'm just going to say it. I was in so much radical gratitude for not being there anymore, for not being in a space for when somebody says, hey, how'd your day go? Oh my God, it was awesome. And I had this happen and this happened. I even found myself doing a complainy today. I really did. I complained. I needed an ambulance, and I should have got an emergency butt hurt kit for myself for about a second. It was something so stupid too, so trivial. The point being,
again, it shows you how we're vibrational beings. And when you go down a little bit in vibration, you're different than you are when you're up here. And like I enjoy being on with you. When I'm going to go live, especially with someone that I really enjoy being on with, I'm automatically up my spiral, and I'm just happy and joking and laughing, and it's just a lot of fun. I can't stay down my spiral in that situation. But yesterday, I was actually Carrie is out this week. I have a lot of people on vacation this week in my business, so I'm kind of having to do things, myself, which I'm not used to doing anymore. And there's things I don't even know how to do in the business for sure. Like there's some software that we have that don't even know how to use it. So the people are out. The boot camp, the group meeting for boot camp is coming up. We have it on Tuesday afternoons, and it was time to go on. I didn't know if any of the coaches were going to be on. I didn't know who was going to be on. And I was on hold with the DMV. And so I go into the boot camp meeting in this like tirade about the state of California. I mean, I held it together. I only let it last about 3 or 4 minutes.
I missed that so hard.
And then we went on and had a fantastic meeting. But, I'm like, that's not a good way to start a TYA boot camp meeting, is me coming on and complaining about, the DMV and the state of California and, how everything is overregulated, blah, 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 blah. But it was, I had to like catch myself and realize I was doing exactly what you're talking about.
But you're so real, though. I mean, that's what's real. Here's what you all need to understand, why these kind of conversations that are just real and like we're totally human, the reason they're important is because we can show you the flip. See, a lot of people just sit in the shit. We can show you the flip. And I'm a poet and didn't know it. Just try that one on for size. But when we are sitting in those spaces and you're thinking, gosh, I'm just so disappointed in that person. Well, what kind of expectation, number one, did you put on their head that they don't even deserve? Number two, what image did you create in your head they're not living up to? And three, how are you going to shift that back into gratitude and radical appreciation? I'm going to tell you how. Because if there's something that you're seeing that is unsettling to you, it's you. That's why. And the ownership of that is really, really can sting. But if you have the right tools to do it, to move up your spiral, then you seriously appreciate every step along the way. And I'm going to give you a perfect example. And this was a TYA tool that I shared with a friend of mine who trying's lying, who I have talked to about TYA, because it's really important. And he calls me up yesterday. He goes, when you're down the spiral and you go up and you're frustrated, guess what? You can move up to pessimism. And he was so stoked about this. And I'm like, rock on. Now you want to like really supercharge that? Join TYA. Seriously, this is like, I don't mind sharing little tips and tools, move up and down your emotional. But really,
there's little things that we share in this practice that can really change your life if you start employing them day to day. And one is that go up your spiral and then don't try to solve. So when you're DTS, and we all know we're DTS because we feel like anything less than joy is really DTS.
Period.
Anything less than joy, you're DTS. When you're above neutral, up in joy, then you've got source connection flowing. And you are capable of new thought and creation and solutions and all that good stuff. And it's available to all of us, but we trip ourselves up when we get down here and we're low vibrational territory, and then we try to instantaneously jump up there. That's why we created the spiral. You gotta spiral your way up. And your friend was right. But what did he say?
He was at frustration and got so excited because he was at pessimistic.
Yeah.
And he was stoked. He's like,
pessimistic is probably higher than, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm laughing going, because he's talking about it. He's so excited that it's like, I don't know if he ever realized it because I didn't point it out. He got way past pessimistic.
Yeah. Then you move on to doubt, and then you move to a little sliver of neutrality where you're kind of just okay. And then you start going up. Hope. Optimism. Oh,
there's a word for y'all. So it's also the shift, though. Deciding. I have to make a conscious choice. It's about your daily practice. What is your daily practice? And this is what TYA is all about, you guys. Getting a daily practice intact that that, okay, I've got these tools, man. If these things start happening, I can go at this and I can apply this and I can shift where I'm at, even if it's just for going from frustrated to pessimistic. Now, the thing about it is, though, I have experienced living in bliss and joy all the time. Now, of course, I'm going to go back down and I'm going to redo and all of this. But because of this practice, I know there's certain things that if I do them every day, like how I wake up, how that I approach the world when I'm first getting out of bed, what kind of choices am I going to make today? And choices are just so huge. In the observation of everything in my life, and as I sit back and look at it, I don't see anywhere anything that I do is not a choice or a decision. And the decision is, am I still okay with the way my life is going? No. If it's a no, if you're not, then it's time to do something about it. And this is why I come on here. I sit with David. I talk to everybody about TYA all the time because it's an investment in your life. Listen, I can't even tell you. I wasn't always just Miss Joy, happy Pollyanna, you know? Well, I wasn't. And I still have my moments. In fact, sometimes I can't even figure out where the cranky comes from. I'm going to blame it on age and hormones, but hell.
Vibrational flow. It's vibrational flow. We all have
vibrational flow. That's it. But how to get yourself back into alignment. One of my key things is, and this is one of the stream's teachings, is to remember something that was really, really, that you were really grateful for. Where were you and where are you now? Where were you? Where are you now? I mean, David, a couple of years ago, I didn't have a house to clean. Where were you?
I remember when you lived in the shed without plumbing. I mean, you had plumbing available to you, but you were living in this sort of guest shed. You were happy to be there. That's the thing. That's the key thing. You weren't bitching about it. I did not go out and visit you and look at like, oh, isn't this place gorgeous? Isn't this amazing? Look where I'm living. And I remember kind of thinking, you're living in a shed, but okay, I'm glad you're happy. That's
it was a cabin, but I mean, it was kind of a shed. It was like a tiny house, but really tiny.
It was a finished shed that was, yeah.
I love his terminology. He's right.
Well, and I'm not trying to crap on the experience. I'm pointing out that a lot of people would look and say you were living in a shed. You didn't have that perspective. Your perspective was you were thrilled to be there.
Oh, I was.
And we had some good times there. It was the closest thing to like a hippie commune I've ever been on. So it was cool.
Yeah, I'd be hanging out with some of the places I'm at now. You could get little things like this. Talk about.
Yeah, I still am not quite sure. Are there batteries in that thing? What is that?
No.
Is it Zap?
No.
So is it a piece of art?
It's kind of like that. It's called an Oregon generator. It was made by Angie LaRue in Boulder, Colorado. And it's got all of these crystals in it and this technology and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, a spiral of wire, so there's got to be something, right?
It's got some copper wire in it. And it is what it is. The fact of the matter is that nothing has any power than what you give it.
That is very true.
We are the power generators.
We're the creators of our reality for sure. And the place where people stop with that is when they don't want to claim ownership of their negative creations.
Sorry.
And, claiming ownership of the unwanted stuff empowers you to change it. That's my message, and again, I'm not handing it out on street corners because I know most people don't want to hear that, but people that are listening to these channels, no channeling pun intended. They're here. You're all here because you want to claim ownership of that stuff, or at least figure out what that means or what it's about. Ask questions, by the way. Feel free to say hello, type in your questions. There's a lot of you on right now from all these different places. So say hello, type in a question. Ask us about the TYA practice. Ask us about radical appreciation. Sometimes I am so into this world of radical appreciation, I could probably lose people pretty quick, because when you start talk about appreciation of all that is, you can start naming off a lot of things that we don't want to appreciate in life, about life. It's really easy to focus on that, but Source isn't judging any of it. So to allow your own natural source connection to be realized, you cannot be in judgment. Even negative judgment of the things that we consider unwanted is mainstream or joyful human beings, I should say, because we don't want to know that. We don't want anybody to be abused or murdered or tortured or sick or any of those things. From a human perspective, we don't. When you start talking about radical appreciation, it's the how do you appreciate that? It's the source perspective of appreciation that I'm speaking of non-judgment. Right.
Well, there's a reason that and I love what you're talking about right now, with appreciation and with gratefulness. A lot of people hear grateful and they think that they're weak. A lot of men, especially, they think it's a weakness, or I don't need help, or all this other stuff. Gratitude is a state of being. It is grateful beingness. It is a place that you live from. It's not, it's so radical, the appreciation you have for every aspect of your essence and other people's essence. For every flower you see, for everything about this earth, you radically appreciate it. You appreciate the fact that this is one of the ways I stay in appreciation too. I will literally be crossing a bridge on a through the mountains of Colorado, because I drove 1,000 miles, and just this appreciation for the people who built that road. But the even deeper than that, do you realize that every single thing we have, everything we look at, was once in someone's imagination? Building the road, putting the railroad here.
Sure.
Building this house, all of it being in someone's imagination. How much appreciation can you have for those people that were so in tune with their imagination and their glory and their joy that they stepped forward and did this for all of us to enjoy? And now here we are, getting to do just that. Enjoy the hard labors of another human being because they chose to take action on a dream. That's a deep appreciation factor. And it's really hard to not be appreciative at that point. And if you can't find anything else in your life, believe me, you can, if you in your own home, you can still get appreciation for those who busted their butt for you to even have a house. And if you don't have a house when you're watching this, well, they busted their butt for you to have the sidewalk that you're sitting on. So
there you go. Well, I teach people all the time to always, seek out 3 to 5 things to appreciate in a moment that you can't find appreciation, because you can if you allow yourself. And you made a really good point. Speaking of imagination, imagination is the most powerful creative tool we have. That is source consciousness, is imagination. And you're right. Everything started out as imagination. The earth was imagined. Our human vehicles were imagined before they were created. The human creation that we see all around us, the tools that we're using right now to communicate, were imagined. So there is a question here, and I like this question. What is the key that you need to get to that you stop judging and just appreciate? That there's components and facets of this in the TYA practice, but I would say if we have to sum it up to a key, it really is using your imagination to understand and then adapt source perspective of non-judgment.
I love that. You know what I have to say? Quit being judgment. Be curious and ask yourself why you're judging it. And then what David's saying is get into observation mode and to observe from the eyes of source, which is what the stream teaches. And in fact, if you join TYA Boot Camp, you'll see that meditation to observing from the eyes of source. Because when you're observing, you can't be judging, you see. And judgment is simply your internal meter of ego trying to protect itself. So in actuality, we could thank it for being there to alert you that there's something that you need to see within you. Because the thing that you're judging is never about the thing you're judging. It's the thing that's outside of you that you're judging, which has nothing to do with them or the thing. It has to do with you. So what's the biggest key? Get real with your shit. Stop bullshitting yourself. Stop lying to yourself. And be willing to say, okay, I'm going to observe from the eyes of source and see with love and compassion the truth of what's real for me without a judgment in place. Get rid of the attachments of what something's supposed to be.
And what you're saying, I love that. And it's peeling away the layers of human programming that we've all absorbed.
Yeah.
We are very programmed to judge, and we're discerners of preference, and that's okay. There's one thing that we like, and there's one thing that we may not, and that's fine. We're in an environment where we are here to discern our preferences and experience them. But part of that experience is manifesting some unwanted things. And when we get down into that lower vibrational territory, it's very easy to absorb this human programming of self-judgment, of external judgment, meaning that we need other people to agree with us. That goes back to, why do we need respect? Why do we need to be right? Why do we need our point of view? Why do we need to argue it? Why do we need to argue our point of view? We can share our perspective and our point of view. And again, I love that everything that we do in my world is we're sharing stuff that is consumed voluntarily. We're not force feeding this, we're not on billboards. We're not, force feeding this to anyone. We're putting it out there, and you can, pay attention. And if it resonates, stick around and go a lot deeper or not. So if you choose to go deeper, we're going to take you on a journey of radical appreciation. We're going to take you on a journey of detuning fear and judgment. We're going to take you on a journey of claiming ownership of everything in your life, because that is the key to transmuting that negative stuff into something positive. Because ultimately, if you're seeing it through the eyes of Source, and we're all part of Source, so we all have the ability to do this, we're not judging any of it. And when you're not judging it, you can find automatic. It's like I said this day with Walt. The judgment goes down, the appreciation automatically comes up. It's just an automatic response when you start detuning the judgment from something. I think he even asked, well, I understand not judging, but how do you make yourself appreciate? When you detune the judgment, you automatically appreciate. You don't have to make yourself do anything. The only work is shifting your mindset away from what I call your default operating system, which is what we've created for ourselves as a response to everything that's happened in our lives, to one that we're more in control of, which is about appreciating everything, not judging, seeing through the eyes of Source. Those are all very high vibrational concepts that we're all capable of.
I 100% am in alignment with that. I love what this says. It says, my dad had a saying about people who always need to be right. He said to ask yourself, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy?
Wise words, because
seriously, yeah.
You're never going to be right all the time, because you're never going to get everyone to agree with you, obviously. Yeah. And what the stream has really taught me is that all these different people walking all these different paths with all these different belief systems, all creating their own bubbles of reality that are all unique, that all contributes to the expansion of the universe. That's part of our polarized environment. And the higher vibration you go in your life, the higher your default goes, the less you need to go down and take a side. When you're up here, you're able to appreciate all that is. And that is an aspect of me that can drive some people crazy. I tell the story over and over again about the political season last fall leading up to the election in the United States. Mm-hmm. I had friends of mine that wanted to draw me into political debates. And my response of, I really don't give politics much power in my life, so I really don't get upset by it, really upset them.
Yeah.
Really upset them, because they needed me to go down and be on their side. And I haven't found a political ideology that I 100% agree with on all things. I'm very fluid about that stuff. So ultimately, do I pay attention to it? Is it kind of entertaining? Do I think it's valuable to know it? Sure it does. Sure it is. I'm in 3D like everybody else is. But am I ultimately going to give it the power over my happiness and well-being? No. So I'm not going to get upset by it. So if you want me to get upset with you about something, I'm just not going to do that. And I love it when a friend, you can have that conversation with a friend and they're completely cool with it. But when you have a conversation with a friend and they disconnect from you or cancel you or whatever, you've gotten clarity on your friendship.
Completely.
On the conditions of it. And they're playing, we all know these people. There are people for whom the condition of friendship is you got to agree with them and boost their ego about everything. So what's that friendship even about in the first place?
Probably a trauma bond relationship that's serving a purpose to keep your old story alive, I'm going to guess.
Ooh, that's good stuff, Debbie G.
Thank you.
I like that.
Remember, actually, David, I was taking TYA boot camp, and this was one of the realizations that I came to in TYA, really, really with so much clarity. And if I hadn't been for TYA, I never would have. I had a situation back in the day with the whole shed out there in Desert Hot Springs. I had this one friend left that I still, what I call trauma bond, meaning I can call up and go, can you believe blah, 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 and they go, ah, blah, 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 and you're like, uh-huh, and can you even believe blah, 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 and then they're like, blah, and blah, blah. Okay, so what happens then is I have this chaos that's been created because I created it. I created my chaos. I started the conversation. I was looking for validation. I was looking for somebody to step into my ring with me. And
you wanted soothing. Yeah, you wanted
yeah.
egocentric soothing. Yeah.
Please, 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 please.
Tell me I'm right. And tell me they're wrong, and I'm a victim.
Ah! So that is what I was doing, though. And I realized, because I was in TYA, this was right at that moment. And all of a sudden, I remember this huge awareness coming over me, going, you're trauma bonding with that person so that you've got somebody to validate your bullshit. And I'm like, ugh! And I owned it, and I talked about this in TYA too. This wasn't this back in a video somewhere, but this was something that I came to realize within this process of creating new behavior patterns for myself. I had to get honest with the old behavior patterns that were no longer serving me today. Now today I'm going to redo TYA because it's time. It's time for me to do this very exact thing where I'm really taking a good look at my behavior patterns and seeing, are they still serving me? Is this serving the story that I'm telling, if I'm telling one? And is it going to lead me to my preferences? The ones I have, the ones I don't, I have my preferences, I'm not, and then I have my preferences, I'm like, yeah. So in order to get those, sometimes it takes redoing it. So if somebody is watching right now and wants to join, Walt Thiessen from Elway Today has just joined, and I am going to be redoing it, which means I get to show up. And by the way, I showed up in group. I showed up in group even during some of the hardest moments of my life at that time. Remember, I was committed. David said, you're going to do, I was doing TYA and I was doing TYA. So I showed up. That would be that's what you got to do though. So if you're willing to show up for yourself and have a support system and have a community and have people who you can get to know, who love you, who understand because they've been through it, man, then that's what you got to do. You got to go and you got to join and you got to take an action for your life. Quit sitting around with your thumb up your ass thinking it's going to change because you haven't, and sit there, it's got to change, it's got to. Yeah, no, little boy in the corner. What was that little boy corner?
Little Jack Horner.
Little Jack Horner in the corner with his thumb up his butt. No. It doesn't work.
I think that might be a different vibe than what that was about. But I want to go back to this trauma bond thing. I really like that because I have noted that there are old friends. We do work like this and we change, but we don't want to become, Stepford robots and just be, these spiritual Stepford robots. Love and light. I'm all love and light. Yeah, I don't know. That's not really what TYA is all about. TYA is about, owning all of your stuff and operating a 3D life from a 5D perspective. We're not switching planets here or any of that kind of stuff. But the radical appreciation component of this changes you. And then you go back to old friends and old acquaintances and old situations, and you're not the same person anymore. And a lot of times that's jarring for people. That's one of the first things when people join TYA boot camp, we get into that with them, that you're going to change and your friends and family and your coworkers are going to notice this, and you need to be prepared because you're going to get really clear on the people that love you and love the journey that you're on and appreciate that you're happier, more confident, more abundant. And then you're going to get clarity on some other people probably that like that old version of you better. And that's okay too, because they have the option to adjust and find appreciation for you in your new self. Sometimes, however, you encounter people that are really triggered by it. And we have somebody that went through boot camp that graduated a few months ago, and she told the story of this good friend of hers that was always there for her when she was down.
Yeah.
She felt like this person is a really good friend. Every time I've been down, they've been there for me. And then she gets into boot camp. She does all this work. She transforms herself. And then the friend couldn't stand her anymore.
Yep.
Because the friend liked the old broken version of her. And that version of her didn't exist anymore. So that happens. And whether you take TYA boot camp or not, when you get into doing this work of radical appreciation and detuning fear and detuning judgment, systematically raising your vibration, appreciating more, those trauma bonds are going to be broken. That's a great term. That's a great term, Debbie. I'm glad you introduced that here. That is going to be broken because you don't want to slip back. It's not easy even to slip back into that old behavior with people, and actually, a lot of your old friends will not know how to take you.
I gotta add to that. I love what you're talking about because you're exactly right. And when you learn to speak your truth, you can learn that you don't need to give them excuses. You don't need to explain anything to anyone. Rather, just I appreciate your whatever and thank you.
Well, and you sure as hell don't need to lower your vibration to go back to pleasing them.
Well, I got a whopper for you.
I mean, you can do that if you want, but you certainly, I see how hard people work to adapt this as their new operating system, if you will, in their lives. And the last thing I would ever want for someone else is to regress or go backward, in their practice, whether it's TYA or something else, to appease the people that are around them that are challenged, if not even a bit threatened, by the new, happier, more abundant, more confident version of you.
Right. Well, that goes back to the good girl, good boy syndrome that people have. I mean, it's there's very two sneaky trauma bonds I want to bring up. One is between siblings, a trauma bond between siblings. Because you got your brother or your sister and you're sitting there talking about blah, 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 in your childhood, and you've got your little stories you tell. I always notice that they're never the same. They're always different. Sure. Neither one of them remembers it right, but both of them remember shit. So it's
and they're both certain that they're right, that their version.
They're both but they're.
You don't understand. My version is the right version. I was yesterday. Well, so does the other person. That's how we create our bubble of reality.
But the trauma bond is that they keep reiterating the story that they're both stuck in, and it keeps them both stuck in where they're at. That's one to be really careful of and be observant of this happening. The other is, so I've been single a long time. Y'all know this. Trauma bonding with people that you just meet. Sitting there and starting to go into old storytelling. If you find yourself talking about all your old stories and blah, 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 because so-and-so, no, that's trauma bonding. So there's your bonding. I like meeting people where our bonding comes through the work we're doing out there in this world. I mean, the excitement of the energy of what's being created. I get excited over co-creation. Mm-hmm. I don't get excited with trauma bonding. Now there's some, and the reason this is important is because that if you're speaking it, it's staying with you. And if you're still telling a story that's going to give you evidence of the false evidence appearing real, the fear. So you've got an old story, you're telling a story that's reiterating your fear. You're going to stay there, you see. So this is why the observation is so important. The trauma bonding between people, that's the scariest one. You got two people, that's power. Think of the words. Words have power. And you two are talking to each other and about nothing but, come on. That is going to create nothing but drama, chaos, and seriously, probably your anxiety. Most likely. So when you trauma bond, it seems like you're not taking responsibility for what you created. Totally. That's another really good point. You're not in that space.
Yeah. Well, it's the whole the bonding over the injustice of the trauma as opposed to the healing of the trauma by finding appreciation for it ultimately.
Right. So I've talked about my traumas, and I'll say, like, if somebody will ask me, because normally I just say without your dark, you wouldn't know your spark. To chalk it up to, listen, I've been through some stuff. Yeah, we all have. I'm grateful for it for these reasons. But trauma bonding, when it's not taking responsibility, it's 100% on point. If you're not willing to own it, then you're going to be living in whatever it is that you've been living in. And it might even get worse till you figure out that it no longer serves you. And the only way for us to figure that out is to do exactly what David said. And you get through to the point where you're seeing through the eyes of Source. You're practicing his meditations every day. They're 10 minutes. It's 10 minutes of your time to sit there with seeing through the eyes of Source and start your day with that. It's one good practice you can get into really quick. You could also just take the masterclass right now, which is free, and get some insight a little bit deeper. I know some of you all know David and you know me and you've been doing this work a long time, but if you're on here and you haven't been, go take the masterclass. Do something today. Take an actionable step today that's going to give you a better tomorrow, because every ounce of energy you put in today and everything that you do today is co-creating what's in front of you. A lot of people, will all be happy when and blah, 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 when. Well, when is now. When is now. Get that through your heads. It's not here, it's now. So if you take an actionable step like joining TYA or setting an appointment with David Strickle right now, which you can do, and it's, he will talk to you all. David, I'm talking to you like I'm talking about you like you're not here. But David here will talk to you to see if TYA is a good fit. The masterclass is one really good way to look. If anything, you're going to get some tools. So you can have, geez, Jiminy Crickets, get some tools. There's also a money mindset, by the way, just saying it.
Yeah, so I put the link in. The best thing to do if you're interested in learning more about this, there's two things. You can take the masterclass. You've got the link there to go sign up, take the masterclass. Set aside 90 minutes for this masterclass. It's not one of these little 20-minute things that you watch and while you're multitasking on other stuff. We want you to shut everything down, devote 90 minutes to this thing, because there is serious life-changing information in there. Take the masterclass, and then that tells you a lot more about what the TYA practice is. And then you get a path to booking a session to talk about TYA Bootcamp after that. Take the masterclass first, though, because it does give you a lot of information. You really get into understanding what it is. So you can click the link and do that, and you can join the Facebook group. We have links to the Facebook group in here. It's a free Facebook group. It's private. You come in, and we are on every Wednesday at 4 p.m. doing this TYA talk.
Yeah.
I decided to cheat and send it to other places today, but you can come in every Wednesday and take that. We have weekend discussions that take place in that group. We have a whole section of guides. We even have a human guide that guides you through the group, that tells you what all is available in there and sort of answers your questions when you're new to the group and stuff like that. So it's a very, very powerful, interactive learning experience to join the Facebook group. So you've got a choice. You can do either one of those things if you're interested in learning more about the TYA practice. Debbie, our hour went by so fast.
Well, because it always does. David, you and I could seriously, I swear, I think we could sit and talk for hours. Actually, David and I
we do. Yeah. But, so we covered something. We covered respect. Why you need respect. If you haven't seen my TikTok about respect, go to TikTok. Go to the stream of David on TikTok and look at my TikTok about respect. We talked about cancel culture a little bit. We talked about being offended, needing to be right. All these things are sort of bound up together, all in lower vibrational, more ego-driven consciousness. And ego is not necessarily a bad thing, but ego in balance with your own natural source connection is a beautiful way to live life. And when you're there, you know it, because you're in joy. You're discerning your preference, but you're not judgmental. You're not needing to be right. You're not being offended by other people. You're not worried about what happens next for humanity. You're not worried about the planet. It doesn't mean that you can't do things to take better care of the planet. It's not an anti-climate change thing, but you're not worried about humanity and what's next. You're trusting. You're trusting your abundance. You're trusting the universe to deliver a beautiful life experience. And Debbie and myself and all of the TYA community love to be the living examples of trusting our abundance on a higher and higher level. Carrie, who works for me, I think she works about 60 hours a week for me at this point. I absolutely adore Carrie. She graduated boot camp. She got into TYA Mastery. I think she's in year 2 or about to go into year 2 of TYA Mastery. And she just sold her ranch. She had lived on a ranch in Texas. She just sold her ranch. She just put all of her stuff into storage and she booked a trip to Belize, and she's just going to move to Belize.
There you go.
Yeah. Talk about trusting your abundance. No idea.
Oh my God. Carrie.
She's closed. And she's like, I haven't even thought about where I'm going to live.
Carrie, I love you.
I love that. Isn't that trusting?
No, it's completely awesome. And I love this.
She's just going. She's just going to go. I said, well, just make sure you have internet, please.
Look, I've been so stoked right now. And Vanessa, I can't wait for you to watch the masterclass. It's really killer. Oh my God, this is so cool. And you know something? Embracing the unknown is the most, that trusting is embracing the unknown. If you're one of those people that have to have a plan and have to know everything, I mean, I know we have to have a tiny bit of something, anyway.
Well, the
But
plan
to
is
the,
usually, I mean, it's good to have a plan, but be open to lots of pivots and turns and twists.
oh, they're just gonna.
Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of like on the like if I got a phone call right now and somebody said, "Hey, Debbie, you want to go to Hawaii?" I'd be like, packing my stuff up. I'm literally like that. David Howe knows I'm constantly on the go. The difference in my life today is that I have my beautiful house and my car, and I've manifested the reality that I seriously love. Look behind me. Look at this. Oh my God. How cute is that? Seriously, I don't know. Please use us as an example. Please use our words and our energy and everything else as an example to show you that there truly is a different way to do this thing we call being human. And it's called TYA Boot Camp. So get with it, get it together, do an actionable step today that's going to change your life for the better. Don't worry about anybody else. They all got it. And besides, they don't need your help anyway. You've been out of bounds. Just saying.
I love it. I love it. And every time Debbie's on, we always say, tell us that Debbie G sent you, and you get an extra hour with the stream if you join TYA Boot Camp. Remember that. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. A lot of you stayed on to the very, very end, so we definitely appreciate it. Thank you for all the questions and comments. Everybody across all the Facebook groups and even YouTube is on right now. So it's fun to do this live kind of everywhere again. But join the TYA practice group, and you can watch this every Wednesday at 4 p.m. We're on chatting about TYA every week. And there's plenty of other TYA tools in that TYA Facebook group. And definitely set aside 90 minutes, even if you have to do it over the weekend. Set aside 90 minutes, go register and take that 90-minute masterclass. You'll be blown away at this practice. You're going to learn a lot of good stuff in that 90-minute masterclass. Debbie, thank you so much.
Love you, David. I love you guys.
Bye now.